All right, welcome to episode 2 of the Rook and the Kid podcast, otherwise known as the Trak podcast. I'm the Rook, and I'm joined by
the kid.
All right, welcome in today. We got a couple of topics for us to talk about. A lot of exciting news that happened in really like 1 or 2 days. We're going to talk about Sean Payton, D'Amico Ryans, Brock Purdy's injury, Dak Prescott contract extensions. Tom Brady retired today, so we've got a couple entertainment segments, including Morgan Wallen's third album that's coming out. We're going to talk about that. We got a lot on the plate today, so appreciate you guys joining us. We're first going to talk about Sean Payton. He finalized a deal to become the next Denver Broncos head coach. Pretty interesting stuff because there was a report that came out about how D'Amico Ryans was the one they wanted. They went back after him, which I don't even know if that's true because you had Ian Rappaport saying that they did meet, and then Schefter saying that they never met, and then they made the move for Sean Payton to become the next head coach. So it's a little confusing, but do we have any thoughts on this?
Well, it's like trying to replace your ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend. You think you want something, you want that, your ex, but then you try to replace them, you can't get them, so you settle for something else. That's what the Broncos did here with Sean Payton. They wanted a new D'Amico Ryans. He's a hot and incoming coach.
He's hot, yeah.
Seriously, we just started. We just started. Anyway,
Bull job.
So with the Sean Payton hire, this can either be the best thing since sliced bread, or this can be the biggest dumpster fire ever. He's going in there. He's gonna have to revive, like on Nazi Zombies, Russell Wilson's career. There's already saying people are that Russell Wilson is like top 20, top 25 quarterback. And just last year or 2 years ago, people were saying he's top 10, verge of 7, And that's a big drop-off. And with Sean Payton coming in, some would say he revived Drew Brees' career. They had some pretty disappointing, but, he threw for 80,000 yards. They were one bad call away from getting to the Super Bowl against the Rams. Maybe that involves the NFL being rigged. We got some information about that yesterday, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah, with Arian Foster. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe Russell Wilson can throw for 80,000 yards next season alone. It's just like last night when we were watching LeBron James, which all of our bets just completely flopped. He needed 117 points to hit the record. Can he do it tonight?
Well, you didn't even ask the right question to start off the show. The real question is, how will the Sean Payton's hiring affect LeBron's legacy?
How will this, and how will it? Because almost anything can affect LeBron's legacy. There are many things.
I forgot to tie my shoe today, and I feel like that might affect his legacy. And
he's thinking about it. It's on his mind.
I saw him tweet about it like 2 hours ago. You can go look at it. Maybe it wasn't him, but they're giving up a lot. You get 2023 first round pick, second round pick, and a third. Or also they're getting a third round pick for 2024. I've never seen a deal like that for a coach.
Yeah, I didn't even know if it was possible because I know he retired, and it's like we still attached to the organization and all that kind of stuff. And so now you got, instead of just signing a coach, without giving any draft compensation, you're signing a coach for a 2023 first and a 2024 second after you just gave up like a plethora of picks just to get Russell Wilson in the first place, which didn't pan out. So now you're giving more picks, and I guess they're just saying like, screw it. Let's invest all of our draft capital and draft income into these players and hope it pans out. Because, the slate they gave for Russell Wilson and the slate they gave for Sean Payton is just, in my opinion, from last season, it's kind of demoralizing.
If they really wanted a good coach, they could have went to the booth and got Jason Garrett. But,
he's a robot, bro. I've never seen somebody act like him on national television. The memes of him on Twitter of just like robotically moving around and smiling is just, he looks like an animatronic.
They need to run the ball. Run the ball.
You know what I think the best thing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can do tonight? Run the ball. Just trust the run game.
Run the damn ball. Run the damn ball, Bert.
It's like, yeah. Yes, like you said, we're going to talk about the NFL rigged. Part of my take, which you are in no way in affiliation with, part of my take dropped a episode on Barstool Sports with Arian Foster talking about how the NFL was rigged. And they were jokingly talking about and seriously talking about like the scripts that they would give Arian Foster or the Texans and stuff like that. And the one guy at the very end says, did you know how did you feel when you got the script when your career was going to fall off a cliff in 2016 because you stopped believing in God?
You know, I just got word that Dak Prescott never got a script for it. That was just him playing quarterback. But
oh, it's just playing like trash. Yeah.
Sure, whatever. That wasn't part of the script. I heard he just did it on his own. You know, he's trying to be a star.
Well, evidently, it's going to be a part of the script on this podcast because we had a little bit of a skirmish last podcast, and we're going to have a little bit of one here. It's just like little dicey hits on Dak Prescott. And I don't know if I can let it slide every single time, but you know, whatever script they're giving him, I mean, I hope it doesn't involve.
He doesn't have a script.
Family matters.
He doesn't have a script.
If so, I'm hiring Vin Diesel. You know, someone needs to protect that man's family.
I mean, if we need someone to go outer space, he's your guy to do it because apparently cars can fly in space now. I don't know what's going on.
The quote tweets are hilarious. By the way, with these, I looked through them. They had a bunch about like Matt Ryan like blowing the lead on like 28-3 in the Super Bowl, and as well as like the Vikings. They had, you know, Kirk Cousins like screwing up in primetime every time. I posted a link on our Twitter and involved like the Blade Runner meme where he's like, God damn. And so they're talking about Justin Herbert's playoff script. Got no likes or anything like that. That's totally fine. I thought it was funny.
It was all right, man, but you're a funny guy.
Not my best meme work. We have about an arsenal, about as much as we send to Ukraine worth of
Whoa,
Alexander.
Dude, calm down.
Zuskevsky.
Calm down. Somebody get this boy on a leash.
You can't put the rook on the leash, bro. It's just impossible.
Yeah, the NFL being rigged, you know, I guess the Cowboys had their 90s. Arian Foster, you know, it's kind of hard not to listen to because he doesn't believe in God. So what as much does he actually know? I mean,
dude, Arian Foster was getting guitar lessons from my cousin in Houston. My cousin Caleb, he was giving him guitar lessons
at a church.
I mean, he went from he good guess, but this was like 2 or 3 years ago, and so you go from being this star Pro Bowl running back who, you know, then he had that celebration where he did this every time he scored or something like that, to, you know, saying he didn't believe in God or whatever, which I think he's actually like Muslim or Buddhist. Don't quote me on that, but to go from an NFL, which is totally fun, go from the NFL to, you know, that it's just like it's crazy to me.
Can't trust people like that, but you know, it's a different topic for a different day.
Yeah. So the other head coach that got signed to a 6-year deal was DeMeco Ryans, the former defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. He's going to be joining the Houston Texans as their head coach, his former team, correct? Houston holds the 2nd overall and 12th overall pick in the upcoming draft. They just got a defensive coordinator as their head coach. Do we see any? What do we got here?
I believe that they are going to trade out of the 2nd overall pick, but still draft a defensive guy. The first 2 picks are going to be quarterback, which means maybe the first 2 people who
they'll probably get Bryce Young and Will Levis. I agree.
Yeah, so they're just going to everyone's just going to trade back. Levis might go number 1, CJ Stroud, like we don't know, but they're going to definitely trade out. I don't see them getting a quarterback. I think they're going to hold off on Caleb Williams, which
really?
I believe so.
You don't think they'd go Bryce Young?
You know, Bryce Young, he's a great quarterback. He might be someone like Tua, Tua was coming like really good coming out of college. He was top of his draft class. However, Caleb Williams is going to change the franchise. And, does Bryce Young have that power? I mean, do you want to put – how do I explain it? You want to put all your eggs in the basket for Bryce Young.
Yeah.
You're going to do that. You want to do that for someone like Caleb Williams. What you can do is you can still get a very good defensive player in the first round, but they trade back. It might be with Oakland, or it could be with Carolina. A team like that. Carter's one of those people to look at, and then probably Will Anderson. I like Will Anderson. I got a lot of heat for the Will Anderson take last podcast.
I don't understand why. The dude is he's been the best athlete.
He's an animal
on defense. Playing for the most prestigious athletic university in the last decade. So, I mean, there's two things they could do there if we go by what you're saying, and they wait off and hold off for next year, and they just kind of finish off with Davis Mills or whoever Matt Schaub they got. Is you could patch up their O-line this year, defense and O-line, get them some protection, and then it doesn't matter what Davis Mills does this next year. You're probably going to move off of him, maybe be a solid backup in the league. Who knows? He's very young. He's got a long neck. All that stuff's relevant. And you patch up your offensive line and a defensive player in the first round. And this year, you kind of work on building the roster and weapons around them. And then next year, you go quarterback. You get a guy like Caleb Williams. I'm pretty sure there's 2 or 3 other guys. It's supposed to be a great quarterback draft class. But, I mean, I know Texans fans probably don't want to tank again, but I could definitely see them doing it again.
Well, they have so many draft picks from that Watson trade. And
right.
Also, if they trade back this year too, like that's a lot of ammunition, and they could still get a nice defensive player. I don't think they'll go offense first round. I know Tunsil wants to be the highest paid tackle in the league. Once again, he wants to break the market. That's kind of something to monitor what they do, because left tackle is top 3 most important position in the league.
Protecting the blind side.
Yeah, protect the blind side. Have y'all seen the movie Blind Side? You see how important it is?
Big Mike?
I don't like being called Big Mike. And, yeah, they just need he's on a 6-year deal. They're not going to think about firing him until at least, if they really wanted to, year 3 or 4. I don't see that happening. He's definitely not going to be a one and done like these last few coaches. But, yeah, he has some time, so, let him get his guy. He's probably telling him, like, I really don't want this guy. I want this guy. So,
yeah.
Depending on what he wants, if he wants Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Levis, any of those guys, they're going at number 2. They're not trading back.
Yeah.
But if he does not want that guy, they're not going to take him. And I feel like he has playing for that organization, knowing the owner, knows the system, they're going to listen to him. I think he, being a former player, has a lot of,
It's a lot like, not the former player aspect, but it's a lot like Dan Quinn. They went and got his guy. I mentioned it in the last podcast. Went and got his guy and Sam Williams. It's somebody that he had his eye on forever. When somebody has a little bit more power than a defensive coordinator who's now a head coach in D'Amico Ryans, it could be a lot. We could see a lot more of that, like what you're saying. Like, okay, I don't really want Bryce Young. Like, I'm not, even though he's a great athlete, I don't think he's our guy. Let's be patient here. Let's trade back. I want to get these defensive guys. I want to get this offensive line. I want to get this, that, or the other. I want to get these weapons. We're moving off of Brandon Cooks, which is another thing to monitor. I mean, the Cowboys were named. There's definitely other suitors for Brandon Cooks. He's 30, 31 years old. How long do you want to keep him? He's not invested with per inside source.
They might use that 12 pick to take a wide receiver. But that second one, like I said, if Ryans does not, if that's not his guy, I believe they trade back. Like, they're not going to take someone.
Yeah.
And it kind of defeats the purpose if they take someone he doesn't want at the number 2 pick. Then, you lose, like, trust. It's all a trust thing, and he was leaving a great situation in San Francisco to go join the Texans, and Texans have a lot to over the last few years, they haven't been the most liked organization out there. They have a lot of things to fix. And if you're going to bring in a guy who's been there, loves the city, loves an organization. And, do what makes him happy. Don't be like the Cowboys. Cowboys like their puppets and all that. I don't believe Ryan's is a puppet, but we'll see how it goes. And, yeah.
Yeah, good points. All right, next is going to be our entertainment segment. ADP, average draft position. Once again, if you play fantasy football, you know what this means. You can pick your draft, your top 3 workout songs. You got 1.01, 1.02, 1.03. The kid, I'll start with you. You can start with your draft, your top 3 workout songs for an ADP segment.
All right, so for my top 3 songs for number 3, I'm going to go with Nookie by Limp Bizkit. Number 2, I'm going to go another one by Limp Bizkit, Break Stuff. I like that. I'm doing squats. I like,
What even genre is that? Is that?
Oh, it's like heavy.
Oh, heavy metal.
Oh, it's like, I did it all for the Nookie. Hey, like, get on a squat rack and you'll probably hit a PR.
Belt or no belt?
Oh, no belt. We don't wear a belt around here.
You know what I typically like to do when I go to the gym and I do squat is I put the belt on, but I just take laps around the gym and I'd never do a workout. I just kind of put the weight on there and just let everybody look at it. And
I could not believe my ears. I had to walk away for a second.
We work out together. That's who I'm making fun of. You know who you are in the gym if you do that. People are trying to use the squat rack. So get on the squat rack, do your sets, catch your breath, move on. I'm trying to work.
Number 1 will be Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine.
Great one there. It's a great one.
I love the heavy rock. I gotta feel it and I just gotta get into it.
Pause. Great list there. I'm not familiar with Nookie, but next workout today, put me on.
No homo.
But although David Goggins, he says listen to music when you're working out. It's cheating.
Yeah, I don't. I like to hear the weights clicking when I'm working out.
Right. David Goggins, if you're listening to this, we want you to be a guest in our podcast here in about 2 to 3 years. All right, my number 3 is going to be "Way Too Sexy" by Drake. Oh yeah, it features Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, fun guy. Fun guy.
Number 2 is going to be "Superhero" by Metro Boomin. Dude, when he dropped that album and that first song came on, it had Homelander and everything like that, which we're a huge fan of the boys. You can see by our profile picture and everything like that. Monster. Number 1, Master of Puppets, Metallica. Inspired by Stranger Things. This is for you, Chrissy.
Grant, I hope you're watching this. You need to go watch Stranger Things. You really do.
Go watch Stranger Things, Grant.
Yeah, it's a good show, man. It's a manly show,
Commish.
too. Yeah, Commish. It's a manly show. You got to go check it out. Good list, man. Good list. I like your especially number 1 and 2. 3, I love "Way Too Sexy." It's just,
Gets me going. A little bit. A little rhythm, upbeat. All right, so Brock Purdy, as we all know, tore his UCL in the playoff game against the Eagles, which was pretty tragic. There was a report by a doctor, we don't know if this is true or false, from a podcast that a Twitter user named Don Cleveman also quote tweeted or reported it, saying that he may have to get Tommy John surgery, and it typically takes, it's like a 6 to 9 month recovery, and you can get into more detail with that. It's approximately like a year injury. And we see this very commonly in baseball, especially with pitchers like Noah Syndergaard and players like that.
Definitely, it's like the torn ACL of elbows, like arms.
Yeah.
So you get Tommy John, it's like tearing your ACL. You're out for quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's not an easy injury. I haven't really heard any quarterbacks getting Tommy John. So to be really intrigued to see how he comes back from that. Throwing a baseball, throwing a football is a little different.
Yeah, because from what I read, and could be completely this could be completely false. I am no doctor. It's about 6 months of rehabilitation, and then you get about 3 months of about strength recovery. Working on throwing, getting it thrown again, and stuff like that. A little less to around a month to get back into game speed, and then a little bit more after that to get back to full strength. So it's a long, long, long road to recovery. And another person that's experiencing that from the bottom half of their body is Kyler Murray. He said he's not going to rush himself back and stuff like that. So,
which is a great decision. Great decision.
Yeah, it's great. You can see it in Michael Gallup this year too. He was very slow. Odell Beckham Jr. smartly did not play this year, which, Brock Purdy, it just stinks, man. Rookie year, outstanding season. And then you got Trey Lance, who also has his leg injury. So you're going into OT, which he's supposed to be prepared for OTAs. So you're going to OTAs with a freak accident, like carted off Trey Lance, who you don't know if he's going to be your future starter. And then you got Brock Purdy, who had an incredible Mr. Relevant season, and he's going to be gone for probably more than half the season.
And then Kyle Shanahan just mentioned that Jimmy G is not returning with the team.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he's not returning to the team. So, like we talked about last podcast, the Niners are probably going to have to roll a Trey Lance, even barring the injury of what he has to get surgery-wise, how long it takes. When you put all your eggs in the basket, you got to roll with that guy. And who knows, maybe if Purdy did so well, maybe Trey Lance has the opportunity. Trey Lance, he played in the week 1 against the Bears. It was pissing rain.
Right.
And week 2, they're getting going, and then he just snaps his ankle. And, you have to go with Trey Lance. Like, I don't think you really have an option. And then the Tom Brady option is out the window at the moment. He could come back. He could come back tomorrow. Last time he was retired for like 45 days. And, it seemed like he still had a little bit left in the tank. It is kind of funny how the Cowboys were the last team to beat him at the moment.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that would actually happen?
He's never lost to us before, and the one loss that he gets, which comes at 45 or whatever years old. After that one loss, he's like, you know what? I don't got it anymore.
Maybe if we beat him 15 years ago, he would have retired after the Cowboys beat him. Maybe that's all he was looking for. The Cowboys to beat him.
Right.
Everything's just done.
Is that part of the script? NFL rigged? Has the Matrix been broken?
Bro, my head hurts now.
Yeah.
Dude. Anyway. Yeah. But
I didn't think I just broke the case or anything. But.
Yeah, we're Trey Lance is going to be the guy to go. Brock Purdy, wish him the best of luck recovery. Actually, kind of get a little bit off topic, but kind of the same thing. Apparently, Nick Bosa will not be watching the Super Bowl.
Really? What's he going to be doing? He's going to be at the election booth, or?
It might be a fake. It had a blue check, but you know how Twitter is now. But it might be a little bit of a insider kind of joke. But I don't know. I don't know.
The video of Joey Bosa and those Philly fans clowning him, and then you got Bosa getting beat up on the sideline. He was battling through that injury throughout the game. He still played really well, and losing like that, not being able to throw the ball. Basically, you don't have a chance. I can see where he's like butthurt about it and really upset and pissed. But I mean, it's the Super Bowl. I mean, that's here and now. Wait till the Super Bowl actually comes. That's like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to digest, whatever it is. And I guarantee he's going to flip that thing on and watch it. He's going to have some Tostitos in front of him. He's going to have some beer. He's going to be with his brother. They're going to have a good time. They're going to watch the game.
No, for sure.
All right, now we got Dak Prescott. So your favorite segment of the week. We're always going to do a little bit of Dallas Cowboys sports talk. You can roll your eyes all you want like a child. But Calvin Watkins on Twitter reported that Jerry Jones said the Cowboys are committed to Dak Prescott long-term and are open to extending his contract. What are our thoughts on this, the kid?
What do they mean by long-term?
That's actually a good question because I don't really know what they mean either. I'm thinking maybe 30 years. No, but I think what I saw was like the next 10 years. I think what it just means is franchise quarterback.
Dak Prescott, is he 29 years old?
Yeah, 29 years old.
I don't know if Dak has another 10 years in him.
I'd say he probably has around 6 or 7, which is crazy. Like
I think he's probably one of those guys who'll probably play until about 35, 36.
Yeah, I would agree.
Bearing no more serious injuries. I don't wish that upon anybody. But for the next 10 years, man, that's a long time. A lot of quarterbacks can't play that long, especially his best way of style is, running the ball, not necessarily running the ball, but getting outside the pocket, being a playmaker, he's not.
I'm glad you agree with me on that. I'm glad that you agree with me on that. Thank you.
It's not that I hate Dak. I see it like.
We both see it how it is. It's just that
I watch it.
You can call it realistic. I'd call it hardcore take on Dak Prescott, which is totally understandable in my opinion. But there's realistic and there's hardcore realistic. Cutthroat.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little cutthroat. But being a Cowboys fan, you need Cowboys fans like that.
Well, it also like it kind of I metaphorically compare it to like a friendship. You need that blunt friend. You got to have that one friend that believes in you. He'll give you the hard truth when you need it to. But then when you don't want it, you got to have that friend that's blunt. You got to have that friend that gets the point across. It tells you the things you don't want to hear, but it'll help you out in the long run. And I think that's how your view on Dak is, and my view on Dak is, here's the truth when you need it, but not all the time. Like not all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like realistic, but then there's like blunt.
So then I also with the Dak thing, I say, he extending him. I guess they could say like, what if Dak goes back to being, fringe of 7, top 10 quarterback, and the market's about to like explode.
Right.
In the next like 3 or 4 years, I think it's probably gonna be like almost $70 million for a quarterback.
Because the salary cap's increasing.
Yeah, it keeps going up. Of course, it's kind of like an inflation thing. Everything's gonna keep going up, and I guess if you sign him now, you could probably get him for at most 50 million, 55, which 4 or 5 years down the line, that's not a lot of money. It kind of gets him back to the same spot.
Yeah.
But then if he proceeds to get better and he maybe wins a championship or he plays like an MVP, that 55 million that you could have extended him becomes closer to like 65 million,
Yeah.
And once Mahomes took a hometown discount, which is crazy. He could get paid $60 million right now and nobody would question it. And, I see what they're doing, but, you never really know with these Cowboys. Like, you never know what they're saying. They're so cryptic about everything they say.
Yeah, a lot of it's also to make just headlines, which is what I was going to get into I'll let you finish.
Oh, just one more thing. If Mike McCarthy's calling plays and, Dak Prescott's not playing to what he wants to do, you think the organization goes with McCarthy moving forward, or you think they go with Dak Prescott?
I don't know. At a certain point, you kind of run out of scapegoats. And I'm not saying that Dak is the sole reason for any sort of struggle that has happened over the past, 8 years that he's been in the league. Mike McCarthy's a good coach. He's ranked in the top 10 with offenses when he was calling the plays. And when he wasn't calling the plays, he was in that teens, low 20s category. And, they're moving off of Kellen Moore, which there was a report that there wasn't a mutual connection between the two towards the end of the year. We don't know what's true and what's not. watching all that, and then now this is like in my opinion, this is like a 1 to 2 year prove it that you're capable of taking these players, which is a great roster of players, besides weapons on offense, in my opinion, other than like we need more, but I'll get to that later. Taking this roster and getting to an NFC championship and getting to a Super Bowl and finally breaking that curse, whatever, does he have enough to do it? And if anybody, and it's going to be really hard for me to say this, but this is my opinion. I defend Dak very, very hard. But Mike McCarthy's resume that he has had with us since he has been in tenure with us is very impressive. And I think if the struggles continue to go the way that they're going, you probably have to point the finger at Dak. Now, the organization will probably do the opposite. They'll point the finger at McCarthy because the headlines will point the finger at McCarthy and a little bit at Dak. You got the star on the side of your helmet. It is crazy to me that if you have that star on the side of your helmet, you're going to be ostracized to a level like no other team that's out there. So I think the standard is really high for both Dak Prescott and the amount of pressure that's on both Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy. But I think in the long run, if the same thing continues, they'll probably point the finger at Dak. So
what's crazy is, and I don't think, of course, nobody thinks Cooper Rush is actually better. But one thing that should speak volumes to Mike McCarthy, and even when Kellen Moore was there, was that when Cooper Rush was in, they were 6-1.
Yeah.
And it's like, why they see what's working with Cooper Rush. Like, why do you think they're changing when they have Dak in the lineup?
See, I think they had a false perception of what the offense could actually do. I mean, I think if you actually took a look around the roster that they had, you had, obviously you had two good running backs. Pollard is elite, no question. CeeDee Lamb is elite, no question. And then outside of that realm, I know it's like when we complain about trading a player in fantasy by name when they're not actually as good as they say they are. Like Zeke. They've run him into the ground his entire career. He can't even finish the season without a knee brace. And it's sad to see. But, you get all this, and I just think with all these things in mind, you got to look at the offense and the weapons and think we got to improve.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're going to do with Cooper Rush this year or like going next year with his contract. Cowboys said they always draft a quarterback. I don't know if that's I saw a report about that, but I don't. Did they draft a quarterback last year? Drafting a quarterback and signing an undrafted free agent are two different things. Of course, they're always going to bring in like an undrafted free agent.
They re-signed Cooper Rush, and I believe they signed Will Greer from the practice squad. Right.
And he was on the team last year, right?
Yeah, and so I kind of got off track earlier, but we were talking about Cooper Rush and stuff like that. What I think is when I was talking about the false perception, it's like they ran the offense so simple and vanilla, but with the vanilla that worked with Cooper Rush. And then when they got Dak Prescott, the false perception comes in where you can start forcing those passes downfield. And it was just like, okay, those receivers other than CeeDee Lamb can't get that separation that CeeDee Lamb actually gets. And I think that might have been probably 25% of the cause of Dak's interception problem this year. And then with Cooper Rush, it was like, we're going to pound the rock. We're going to get the ball out to our most important players, let them run, and it worked.
I feel like with Dak Prescott, his hot is like top 7, top 10, maybe top 5 when he's super like on. But his cold is like bottom of the barrel. Like it's like 20 or worse. And that's what makes him so inconsistent because he hasn't consistently been that super hot guy or he has been that super cold guy. This year he was more cold than anything. But however, he did have some stints of being super, consistent. Yeah. And that's why it's hard to put someone like Dak Prescott consistently in like the top 7 quarterbacks or, some people. If I was the highest I would put him at right now would probably be at like 10 or 11. But
I think
that's
that's fair after this season.
He has to be like, he's just not consistent enough. But his, like you said, he's hot or cold. He's kind of like J.R. Smith in a way. When he's –
so he doesn't forget he's actually on offense or defense.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just – man, I've been watching him for the last 8 years. And it's –
Yeah.
I'm on a –
we have differing opinions on a lot of things. I think your comparison there is pretty fair. 10-11, after a season like this year. I always look at advanced statistics and stuff like that, like EPA or whatever. And because one of your points that you always make is, and this goes both ways. It goes for my argument and against my argument, is what you see on the box score isn't actually what happens in the game. Dak might have had 1 or 2 interceptions, but then you actually watch the game, he could have thrown 3 or 4, or he threw 1 or 2 interceptions. Neither of them should have been picked. You have to watch the game. And that's also another argument we have against like people like Tua, where it's like, stats. Yeah. Oh my God, he's 24 touchdowns and 5 picks.
If
and you watch him play, and you're like, what? If
Tua had a above average arm, he probably would have thrown for close to 5,000 yards.
Yeah.
He could have easily almost threw for 5,000. But the fact is, you watch the game, and a big one was especially against the Lions. Man, Tyreek Hill is putting on a show for them.
Yeah.
Beating defenders, double teams. The whole time he's having to run back for the ball and become Megatron, which is ironic because he's going against the Lions.
And he's about the size of Megatron's son if he had one. But he plays as big as Megatron, which is so funny because look at a guy like Chase Claypool, and he plays like Tyreek Hill size.
Oh, yeah. Chase Claypool, man.
The metrics don't add up.
Soft. That man
soft is a mother's love.
That man is soft. If he ever was, he would never see this podcast, but he'd be like, man, those guys, they don't know nothing, man. They
don't know nothing. They're just some nobodies.
They got the kid, 1 viewer. What the hell is we doing over here? But look yourself in the mirror. You play soft. Man up.
All right, so I love that. That was our longest segment of the show. You can always tell we can get in depth about the Dallas Cowboys, and we are always willing to talk about it. Once in the future we get some viewers and stuff like that, hopefully we can have some comments in there, and people can ask us some questions and topics to talk about as well.
I don't know who's watching this right now, but shout out to you.
Morgan Wallen announced he is dropping his 3rd album on March 3rd of this year. 36 new songs, including 3 that were dropped. I can't remember the names of them. I have it pulled up here. And I'll let you talk about that.
If he can get an album, if it is just like the Dangerous album, the double album, you will catch me listening to that for probably the next 2 years. I listen to Morgan Wallen's Dangerous album probably every day of my life.
36 songs. The 3 that he dropped were Last Night, Everything I Love, and I Wrote the Book. Parker McCollum, actually, somebody quoted his album, Morgan Wallen's album, and said, like, by the way, none of these songs were good. And I was like, what? And then you looked at it's some random account. And Parker McCollum replied to him and was like, it doesn't matter if you just say you don't like it or you don't. Don't tell everybody that it sucks. Just say, my opinion. Like he went off on the guy and I got 22,000 likes. But I really liked his Everything I Love and I Wrote the Book. Pretty groovy. I Wrote the Book is kind of a mixture between pop and country, and then you got Everything I Love. It kind of, I've got the song in my head. I want to say it's kind of not outlaw, but like banjo country with a little bit of pop country twist. It's pretty interesting. But 36 new songs, including, the ones we love, like I Thought You Should Know and You Prove and stuff like that. It's going to be a monster album.
Hopefully it's not like Zach Bryan's.
Oh, yeah, dude, we wouldn't survive.
32 or 32
Tell me why. Why wouldn't we survive? Because she's
never coming back.
That's correct.
She's never coming back. Damn it, bro. You had to get me on. I'm sad now.
Yeah, you want to listen to some Something in the Orange by Zach Bryan? I don't know how people live after. Dude, that's some sad music, man. props to him. I don't know what happened to Zach Bryan, but I hope he's okay. I heard he's happy. He's healthy. So
whatever.
All right. And then last but not least, our last segment of the day before we get into our NBA prize picks. Tom Brady announced his retirement today. For real or not? Eye emojis, fire emojis.
Will this affect LeBron's legacy?
This actually might. I don't know how. I don't know what script I can write for it. But Tom Brady retiring could absolutely affect LeBron's legacy.
Well, what's good is, he has that deal with Fox, which, Greg Olsen just tweeted about how he hopes that Tom Brady doesn't retire and take his job. And if he's lucky, he'll take Kevin Burkhardt's job. But from the looks of it, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
You have to put Tom Brady on there. He's the most well-known football player.
Greg Olsen had such a great year commentating, in my opinion. I just think it'd be unfair.
Cutthroat. You know how the industry is. It's cutthroat.
I'm not even going to talk about that. I was going to yeah. No, I cannot talk about that. But, man, Tom Brady coming in there and taking a guy like Greg Olsen's job would be – I'd feel really bad for Greg Olsen, but I would not doubt for a second he could find a gig that is just as good and just as paying. He did an incredible job.
He should start a podcast.
He could, yeah.
He could. I feel like he could get a job at like Fox. Maybe not like Acho, but something like that. Just.
Yeah, I think he wants.
If Acho can get a job, he can get a job. I mean.
Oh, Acho, man. Yeah.
Yeah, if he can get a job. Anybody can get a job at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see. Tony Romo took off. I'm sure Tom Brady will do just fine as well. He's had enough football in his career he's probably got more football years in his career than I do life years. So, I mean.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Probably right at the mark. But
nah, he probably has you by probably started playing football when he was 7 or 8, maybe less, and he's 45.
Oh, yeah, if we're counting youth football, then yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah. Duh!
Yeah, so I think he had a great career, 7 Super Bowls. I don't think anybody will ever match his statistics for a long time. I know this is becoming a passing league. I don't see it ever reverting back to a, pro style league. What a career. I never really I wasn't really ever a fan of him my entire life of being a Cowboys fan until he earned my respect when he won his Super Bowl on the Buccaneers. Now, granted, he had everything he needed, and as you would give a 40-year-old quarterback, but he earned my respect, and he should earn everybody's respect, in my opinion. So it doesn't mean that I don't think he's a system quarterback. You can be a system quarterback and run the system very well to win. You see that in Jimmy G a little bit, but I don't know. Great career. I don't think anybody will ever top it. Tom Brady is
salute to him.
Undisputed goes.
He's the reason why I picked number 12 when I was playing football.
Oh, that's so sweet. I picked 9 for Romo because I'm a dedicated and loyal fan.
Oh, man. I was 6 years old. What do you want me to do? Romo wasn't even playing.
Hey, one of the most savage moments of my life, I thought so when I was 8 or 9 years old. I played Pop Warner football. My first team I was ever drafted to was the Philadelphia Eagles. I showed up to our first scrimmage in a Jason Witten jersey. Respect
to the Rook.
Yeah, I played center. Anyway. NBA prize picks. We are in no way sponsored or affiliated with prize picks, but we use prize picks and sleeper and sometimes underdog, but prize pick and sleeper to do our 6-leg, 8-leg parlays. Hunter, why don't you read us off? Let's get the kid to read us off on our 6-leg parlay that we're rolling with tonight.
All right, if you want to make some money, you came to the right place. I hit them all the time. But I don't do those little bets. I go 6 for 6, 5 for 6. I don't do those little 2-leg parlays.
We're convicts. We always go for it all.
We go for it all. So tonight we got our 6 picks. We got Sabonis, 32.5 points and rebounds. We're going more. We got Gary Gary Trent Jr. His PRA is 23.5. We're going to go the over on that. Just to get a little insight on these two guys. Sabonis going against the Spurs.
Not a very good team. Not a good team.
Not a very good team. Their inside is not very well. He should out rebound Jacob, whatever you want to call him. He should out rebound him. Should get about 12 to 14 boards, maybe about 20 points. That'll hit.
Let's hope.
Gary Trent Jr., he's been pretty hot recently, especially if he's scoring. If he gets you about 15 points, he's probably going to hit everything else, especially if his threes getting knocked down. I believe he'll hit that. Clint Capella, blocks and steals, 1.5.
He's been a monster force for Atlanta since he's been back. I mean,
he's a good player. He's solid.
Yeah, he's a good player. He used to play for Houston. I remember monitoring back then, and then he showed up in Atlanta, and we bet on him quite a bit. So,
and we're gonna go.
Ooh, that's two.
We're gonna go more on that 1.5. He's going against DeAndre Ayton, who's very soft. If Ayton tries to do his little, weak little post move, Clint Capella will probably sweat it. I see him getting about 2 to 3 blocks tonight. We're going blocks and steals, so I'll take either one. I don't
Giving that dunk, Shaq, crotch thrust, and shove towards the goal line. Yeah, we're hoping for some of that.
We got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's going against Houston tonight, 32.5 points.
He's been on fire recently.
I believe, he will. He always gets about, 28 to 30 points competitive games going against the Rockets. Rockets aren't a very good team. Yeah, he should get his. He's a bucket. He's probably close to the most improved player. I'll probably give some Markkanen this year.
Yeah, Markkanen's been very fun to bet on this year. We've gotten a lot of green beans with him.
And then we got another one. We got Kyrie Irving going back to Boston. Or he's playing versus Boston today, 30.5 points. Boston's a good defensive team. They got Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. But the Brooklyn Nets are still missing KD. Ben Simmons is hurt.
They need somebody to score.
They need somebody to score. Maybe Seth Curry might not be a bad person to go. But if I trust anybody against that defense, I'm going to go Kyrie Irving over 30.5. And Klay Thompson versus Minnesota, very low prop. He's at 0.5 free throws made.
Hey, if he gets fouled, he's sinking it.
Yeah, all he has to do is get fouled. If he gets fouled, there's no way he's not missing. He's like a 90% free throw shooter. He's been hitting the last 5 games. We're going more on 0.5 free throws. And, yeah, that was our 6 picks of the day, NBA PrizePicks. Let's get this money.
Let's hope they hit. Let's hope we get 6 green beans so we can make some money. This is episode 2 of the Rook and the Kitty podcast. We'll be dropping another episode hopefully later this week or sometime early next week. We'll keep you guys posted. The Twitter link is posted in our comment section. This is going to be going live on our YouTube account at the Trak podcast, Trak podcast. Check it out, you guys. Follow us on Twitter for some good content, and we appreciate you guys coming out. Have a good rest of your week, and let the bets hit.
Thank you for every watch.